Tarantino's newest film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, just came out, so today I'm going to check off Pulp Fiction. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back, and today I will be checking Pulp Fiction off the 1001 movie checklist. If you do not know what the 1001 movie checklist or 1001 movie challenge is, it is basically a challenge I've given myself to check every single film off the 1001 movies you must see before you die book. So far, I have checked 175 films off the list. If you want to know more, you can check out a playlist up there with an intro video on every single film I have checked off so far. As always, let's get started with a short summary. The lives of two mob hitmen, a boxer, a gangster and his wife, and a pair of diner bandits intertwine in four tales of violence and redemption. Pulp Fiction is one of Tarantino's most beloved and talked about films, and of course, as you can tell, I have not seen it yet, or I had not seen it until, today. And if you have been following me for the past couple months, I guess, or at least the last two videos I have done on Tarantino, you would know that I am not the biggest fan of Quentin Tarantino. I enjoyed Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, and that's about it. I did like Inglourious Basterds, at least what I have seen of it. I have seen most of it. Some parts I think I maybe fell asleep through, but I did not like Reservoir Dogs, and I was not the biggest fan of The Hateful Eight, and Pulp Fiction, I feel the same way. I will say I know that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just came out. My video just went up yesterday, but I haven't seen it yet when I'm recording this because, pre-recording, editing takes a while. These videos take about 2 weeks to do. So yes, I was not the biggest fan of this movie, but I did actually enjoy myself. There are things that I did not like about it. There are things that I enjoyed about it. There's not a lot, but the parts that I did enjoy is pretty much a big chunk of what the movie really is. That is kind of confusing, but I did explain this a little bit in my Hateful Eight review. I am not the biggest fan of the way Tarantino writes and kind of directs his films, I guess also. It's more his writing style I'm not a big fan of. He does meandering monologues or just a lot of exposition through dialogue.
Pilot? What's a pilot?
Well, you know the show's on TV?
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, but you are aware that there's an invention called television, and on this invention they show shows, right?
Yeah.
Well, the way they pick TV shows is they make one show. That show's called a pilot. Then they show that one show to the people who pick shows, and on the strength of that one show, they decide if they want to make more shows. Some get chosen and become television programs. Some don't. Become nothing.
And if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you will know that I am a big proponent of the show don't tell method of filmmaking, where you show what you want to imply or want your viewers to know by having it come up on screen in a visual format instead of just expositing all over them. Filmmaking is a visual medium. It is not a novel that they read and they get all the exposition from the words on the page or the dialogue that is said. You want your viewers to get the point across from what they are seeing on screen. And Tarantino does all of his exposition through dialogue. Now, a lot of these long talking sequences are really well done from the standpoint of the actors' performances, but also the cinematography. I wouldn't necessarily say that is a lot of what Quentin Tarantino has a hand in, because it is the actors and the cinematographer that are doing this, but he is the director and he is the writer, so he does have some hand in it. A lot of the dialogue is very catchy. It's very quick and fast-paced and in your face. I understand that. I really enjoyed that, but a lot of the dialogue it's seemingly unnecessary. There is this whole sequence where they are talking about this guy that Marcellus Wallace pushed out a window because he massaged his wife's feet. But then when Vincent Vega brings it back up to Mia later on at their date that's not a date, she doesn't really fully explain it. The only answer she can come up with is what happened was between Tony and Marcellus. I mean, I understand that, but it seems like a moot point that just could have been taken out of the story. Yes, it does bring out the point of how intimidating and scary and protective that Marcellus Wallace is, but that is shown in other ways via a monologue that he has to Bruce Willis's character.
Because a year from now, when you're kicking it in the Caribbean, you're gonna say to yourself, Marcellus Wallace was right.
I got no problem with that, Mr. Wallace.
In the fifth, your ass goes down.
in the way Ving Rhames looks on screen, and like when Bruce Willis's character Butch and Marcellus Wallace get kind of kidnapped and then get raped. I'm not gonna show that. It's a little too graphic. I mean, it's not like, it's kind of implied, but at the same time, I don't want to get demonetized. This is a very demonetizable movie. And this extensive amount of dialogue really leads to the story meandering and going off in different places. And yes, I understand that is Tarantino's style of storytelling for this film because it is not told chronologically. It goes out of order and different things happen at different times for different people. I understand that, and that's actually one of the things that I really, really love about this film is its nonlinear storytelling aspect. That is some of my favorite styles of filmmaking, is when you have to put pieces together because the story is nonlinear, like in Memento and the most recent one I can think of, Dunkirk. There are probably so many other ones, but that's just the first one I can think of off the top of my head. This style of filmmaking, though, definitely makes me feel like Quentin Tarantino just writes a stream of consciousness, because if you've ever seen an interview with Tarantino, he does just talk and talk and talk because he is knowledgeable about his craft, and I like that. I like Eli Roth because he is knowledgeable about his craft, but I'm not necessarily a huge fan of his movies, especially Hostel, and I respect that a lot because I aspire to be like that. I aspire to be very knowledgeable about filmmaking, but the fact that it just ambles on and on and on can get a little draining, and I found it to be just kind of boring at times. Even through amazing performances by Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta and Harvey Keitel in his little bit, and even Bruce Willis a little bit, I did really enjoy the small bits and pieces that we got from Ving Rhames. His monologue to Bruce Willis was excellent, and this is where I wish it had been more of a show don't tell moment in the film. When Marcellus Wallace is standing over his rapist, he's just standing there over him and he feels so intimidating, and you really get that vibe coming off of him that they have been talking about for the first hour and a half of this film.
I'm gonna call a couple of hard pipe hit go to work on the homes here with a pair of pliers and a blowtorch. You hear me talking, hillbilly boy? I ain't through with you by a damn sight. I'm gonna get medieval on your ass.
They could have just shown a scene like this and you would have understood immediately how intimidating and scary and powerful Marcellus Wallace is. You didn't need an hour and a half of exposition leading up to this. And speaking of the acting, there are a couple characters like Tarantino.
You guys look like... What do they look like, Jimmy?
Dorks. They look like a couple of dorks.
Ha ha ha, you're close.
And the girl who played Raquel.
Hi. So, what's with the outfits? You guys going to a volleyball game or something?
They were both super stiff and awkward, and I understand the director's need to make a cameo because Hitchcock did it in all of his films, but he rarely ever talked in any of his films, and he was only on screen for a couple seconds. But there are some directors that feel the need to go on screen and have lines and lines of dialogue, even though they are not actors. Quentin Tarantino is not a great actor. He should not be on screen.
I want you to tell me how good my coffee is, okay? I'm the one who buys it. I know how good it is. When Bonnie goes shopping, she buys shit. I buy the gourmet expensive stuff because when I drink it, I want to taste it. But you know what's on my mind right now? It ain't the coffee in my kitchen. It's the dead in my garage.
He just felt very awkward and stiff and uncomfortable in front of the camera, but that's also probably just his personality, even though I've only seen interviews with him where he's in front of the camera and he still is just awkward.
Actually, it's you know, and with the three characters that these three actors are representing, I'm kind of doing an interesting looking at Hollywood through a social strata.
Another thing that I really liked about this was the cinematography. They did a lot of great long shots.
It's legal to buy it, it's legal to own it, and if you're the proprietor of a hash bar, it's legal to sell it. It's legal to carry it, but that doesn't matter, because get a load of this, all right? If you get stopped by a cop in Amsterdam, it's illegal for them to search you.
A lot of long following shots.
You know, I'm kind of tired. I could use a foot massage myself.
Yo, man, you best back off. I'm getting a little pissed here.
This is the door.
Yeah, it is.
Time you got?
7:22 in the a.m.
No, ain't quite time yet. Come on, let's hang back.
And a lot of still camera shots that are very long while someone monologues.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
And even though it kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies because of the needles and stuff, I really enjoyed the extreme close-up montage of Vincent preparing his heroin. And now for the last thing I'm going to be talking about. I promise it's the last thing because this is already a very long video. Something I've talked about in every single Tarantino video I have done so far is the way Tarantino portrays women in film. I have heralded Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 as the best examples of how to do women in film, and Tarantino does that. And this and pretty much every other film of his I've watched, not necessarily Inglourious Bastards, it's like a little bit higher up there, is he does not do women in film very well. Comparatively to the Hateful Eight video, I actually have some resources and sources to cite from and that I will read for you, and links to any articles that I use are in the description because I found these very, very helpful, not only in this video, but also just understanding his works as a whole. The main article I will be talking about is by Benjamin Labowitz from Rampage. It's called Analysis of the Female Character, and in this article it analyzes every single one of Tarantino's female characters. And under the Mia Wallace section and just the Pulp Fiction section in general, there is this one quote that really stood out to me. Many claim her to be a mystery, an enigma, thus being a strong female character and a feminist role model, where he links to another article called Pulp Fiction Mia Wallace Analysis on esotericarticles.com. So a lot of people consider Mia Wallace a very strong female character because she's so mysterious and you don't know a lot about her, but honestly, I think that is why she is a very weak character. Being a strong character does not mean that you have all of this mystery behind you. It means holding your own against the other characters in the film, and I definitely agree with what follows this statement, and I will read you this whole paragraph and tell you my thoughts on it. She is, however, little more than a plot point to further the development of John Travolta's character Vincent Vega. Vega is a nihilistic man who cares little for faith and uses drugs to get some little pleasure in his life. When he meets Wallace, she's a mortal temptation, but also a volatile risk who endangers herself by mistaking heroin for cocaine. She has lines of dialogue which suggest she is deep and contemplative, yet she says nothing of real value, and those lines go unused, as if she was meant to become a three-dimensional character off screen. And I wholeheartedly agree with this analysis. I read this article after watching the film and I couldn't quite put into words why I disliked her character so much. And it's not that I disliked her character, I was just like, I felt empty. I just did not feel anything for her. There was just nothing there. And after reading this, I understood why, because I felt like there really wasn't anything there for her. She was just empty. She's made to look and seem a lot smarter and mysterious than she actually is, when she is really just this cardboard cutout facade that pushes Vincent along his path to where he eventually dies. And Mia isn't the only female character in this film. There are two other really prominent female characters, and I will read some more of Benjamin's article for that. There are two other female characters in Pulp Fiction who are meant to be significant. The first is Fabienne, played by Maria de Medeiros. Probably butchered that, and I apologize. I am horrible at pronunciation. She has even less depth than Wallace. She only exists as a sexual object and a verbal punching bag for Bruce Willis's character, Butch. She has little dialogue, and what little she says is worthless, talking about her body and being attracted to Butch, then about being scared of him, and then right back to loving him. The only other significant female is known as Honey Bunny, played by Amanda Plummer. She is the female of a dynamic duo of robbers who are very much in love. Her counterpart, Pumpkin, played by Tim Roth, is clearly in charge and commands her every move, calming her when needed, and directing her what to do. Pulp Fiction is a perfect case study of Tarantino's use of useless women in his films. Again, wholeheartedly agree with this. And it's the exact same thing as I felt with Mia Wallace's character, except for these two, I could kind of put into words why I wasn't super fond of their characters, because they just got bossed around and pushed down by their male counterparts. Again, this is something I had talked about in my Hateful Eight video when talking about Jennifer Jason Leigh's character Daisy Domergue. All three of these females across these two films just become a punching bag for the males in their lives. Not only the male counterpart, but also the other males, especially in Honey Bunny's case, when she is trying to do what she is supposed to be doing, something that Pumpkinhead told her to do, which is keep the crowd controlled. She's getting yelled at by Jules and also getting a gun pointed at her by Vincent and yelled at by him, as well as Pumpkin. It's just, it really annoys me. And I think that's maybe why I probably would never watch this movie again. I don't know. It's just really something that I feel like needs to be changed. And yes, I know it's the stylisticness of this film, but at the same time, it's something that has just, I don't know, I can't put it into words, but I think this video has gone on long enough. It is so long. So let's just go straight to the clip. There are so many iconic Pulp Fiction scenes that I could have chosen for this clip, but there was one that stood out to me and really just made me laugh. And yes, it is censored for language because, again, I don't want to get demonetized.
What does Marcellus Wallace look like?
What? What country you from?
What?
What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what?
What?
English. Do you speak it?
Yes.
Then you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Describe what Marcellus Wallace looks like.
What?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you. Say what one more goddamn time.
And that is all I have for Pulp Fiction. As always, these are just my opinions, but I'd love to know yours in the comments down below. What did you think of Pulp Fiction? Which of Tarantino's films is your favorite? I know a lot of people really love this film, and I am probably in the minority of how much I dislike it, but also kind of enjoyed it in a weird way, but there's a lot of things about it that I didn't like anyways. If you know which films I have already watched or just follow my progress along in general, there's a link to a Google Doc in the description down below with every single film I have checked off so far, or you can just check the list on my Letterboxd. I'm also an Amazon affiliate, so if you'd like to start the challenge for yourself, watch the film I talked about today, or get ready for the film I'm going to be talking about next time, check the links in the description, and anything you purchase from those, I'll get a little percentage back that'll help make this channel even better. And now for the next film. 500 Days of Summer's 10-year anniversary is coming up, and that film means a lot to me. I will be doing a separate video on that, but a film that is very influential to the film 500 Days of Summer is one that I wanted to finally check off, even though I've seen so much about it, and that is The Graduate. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really truly do appreciate you, whoever you are. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking things, movies, TV shows, filming, mystery, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye!